from. His name is Jordan, and I want to say his last name right, Mazziotti? Mazziotti. Okay, ready? So that's the first one. Give it up for Jordan, you guys.
Hi, everybody. He said I'm Jordan Mazziotti. I'm a tall, dark, sexy Italian stallion. My wife loves when I do this. Sorry, ladies. I'm taking. So, people have been telling me recently I look like Del Shanzi, the Totally Awesome Computer guy. And it's really disappointing because all this time I thought I looked like Denzel Washington. I recently like to tell people that I've lost 20 pounds, which I actually didn't. And so I tell them this and they come up to me and they're like, I tell them that and they're like, wow, you look great. I was going to say something. And I'm like, yeah, I look great. But the problem with it is they always ask for an before picture. And so I kind of freak out a little bit, so I just pull a picture of Oprah Winfrey out of my wallet. And that works out pretty well. With my newfound confidence of losing that imaginary 20 pounds, I've started to dress better. As you can see, I've mashed a lot. I follow the rule of threes: tie, pants, shoes, shirt, underwear, socks. But the other day, my wife was telling me that I didn't match. I was like, I always match. What are you talking about? And then I looked down and realized that I was naked. So, pretty great. So I've been married for 10 years. I have 2 children, a 10-month-old little angel boy and a 3-year-old tornado. And my 10-month-old, I don't know, like babies, they just have these huge heads that are incredibly unproportionate to the rest of their body. And so they're always like, they can't keep their heads up. And I thought that would be interesting if adults kept the same head to body ratio as babies did. And so, for example, did you hear about that soccer player that bit that other soccer player in England? It's terrible. I guess he's been watching a little bit too much of that show Hannibal on TV. I also have, like I said, I have a 3-year-old as well. And the other day, I realized that as I have more kids, I care less. She was eating her mashed potatoes with a paintbrush. And so I was like, well, at least it's creative. Maybe she'll end up being a painter. Also, my 3-year-old came up to me the other day, and so, when I talk to my kids, I always bend down for some reason. But she's like, Daddy, Daddy. I'm like, what? And she's like, I went poop yesterday. Oh, that's great. That's great that you went poop yesterday. And she's like, and I didn't eat it. And so I was like, wow, that's great. But then I got to thinking in my head, she has told me dozens of times that she's went poop, but she's never not told me that she didn't eat her poop. So I have a 3-year-old who eats her own crap. Recently I was talking with an aunt of mine and a grandma. My grandma and this aunt recently had started dating this new guy, and so I asked her, I was like, how's it going? Is it going well? Is it getting serious? And she's like, yeah, it's getting pretty serious. I'm like, have you done your research? Is he a good guy? Have you Googled him? And then Grandma interjected, like, what are you talking about? Googling? That's so inappropriate. They probably haven't even kissed you yet. So, we're like, Grandma, Googling means you look them up on the internet to see if they're, if they have any bad things about them. It's like, oh, what's the internet? And this other grandma, when I was about 12, she lives in West Virginia. We went to go visit her. And while we were there, we went to a train tourist attraction. And so while I was there, we were looking around, like, oh, trains are pretty cool. Just kind of in passing. And then every year since then, for Christmas, I've gotten a train. So up to this day, I get a train for Christmas. And I'm 32 years old, and my grandma's dead. So I don't know how that works out. Like I said, I've been married for 10 years. My wife's grandma has known me for 15. So it's kind of weird the other day when she's like, "Hey, Gordon." I'm like, "What?" "Grandma, my name is Jordan." "Oh, okay, Jacob." And it's interesting because, like I said, my name's Jordan Mazziotti. You always think Mazziotti would get messed up. Manicotti, macaroni, mozzarella. I think I'm craving Italian food. But they actually mess up on my first name more. I worked at Alpha Graphics a few years ago. Worked there for about 8 months, and so clearly it was time for them to lay me off. And so they took me into my exit interview, and gave me my paperwork. When I got back to my desk to start cleaning up my stuff, it said Jason. I was like, oh man, I feel bad for that guy. This Jason guy is going to be so upset when he finds out. Poor guy. Poor guy. I don't know if you guys have heard, but IKEA has decided to get into the budget hotel business. And I have a curious mind, so I went and checked it out. So when I got up to the front desk and was checking in, instead of a room key, they gave me Allen wrench. And so I went up to my room, and when I got up there, I realized I actually had to install all of my old furniture. And it took me like 6 hours. The legs were all wobbly, and I didn't get an ounce of sleep. But you do have to give it to them for their service, because instead of a mint on your pillow, they put a Swedish meatball. But the most interesting thing about all of that was that when they did their press releases, they said that they weren't going to use their own furniture in their hotels. It's like, that's really weird. You won't use your furniture in your own hotels, but you expect me to buy it? Okay, I'll do it. Recently I was driving, and to be rebellious, I drove with my car unregistered for like 4 or 5 months. And when your car isn't registered, you're committing another, car-related crime, like no license or 3 dead bodies in your trunk. Every car on the road is a cop car. Every car. A smart car, a Hummer, any car with a roof rack on it, or even an old lady on a motorized car. But speaking of breaking traffic laws, I'm guilty of texting sometimes, but most of the time I try to be responsible. So I was texting my wife the other day, and what the text was supposed to say was, "My phone's about to die. I love you. Goodbye." Instead, it said, "You're gonna die. I love you. Goodbye." And my phone died right after that. And I was like, oh man. But luckily when I got home, she was alive. I got scared for a minute there. I went out every weekend I kind of go out and do stuff, but this one particular weekend we left in the morning, we're out all day doing stuff, and then we came home at night, and when I got home, came in my house, everything was turned over. I was like, what's going on here? Did we get robbed? And then I realized, I'm just a slob. my goal this year is to be Kim Kardashian's and Kanye West's baby. So if there's a relationship between 3 people, that's a love triangle. So is a polygamous relationship a love octagon? And then so like a relationship between 2 people is probably like a love line, maybe? And then if you're an egocentric maniac, is it a love point? So recently I went to the post office and I was getting the keys for my mailbox because they do the community mailboxes, and I went through the line, waited like 15 minutes, and I said, "Hey, I need keys for my mailbox," and the person at the desk says, "You need to go to the postmaster." Postmaster? What the heck is a postmaster? I'm like, "Where's that at?" And the lady's like, "It's behind that wooden door." All right, so I go over there, I knock, and when it opens, one of those doors that open in half, there's a guy there with a really long white beard. And then I see Middle Earth in the back. And I guess the postmaster lives in the land of Lord of the Rings or something. Let's see what else. That's all the time I prepared, actually. So, it's been great. Jordan.
That was fun. That was Jordan. Very good. Awesome. That bow tie is classy, is it not? I love that. What he said about texting reminded me of. Have any of you been texting like on the road? I know you're not supposed to, but then.